They want them at their movie premieres. They want William and Kate. They don't want the ones that everybody hates. So they're losing that cachet very fast. And it seems to me that Hollywood is abandoning them fast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, has long been a figure of intense public fascination and controversy. But her recent media maneuver, a soft launch return to Instagram under the banner of her new lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, might just be her most awkward and tone-deaf move yet. In what was clearly intended to be a triumphant reintroduction to the public sphere, the carefully curated teaser instead landed with a thud, drawing a mix of mockery, confusion, and weary skepticism from critics and even some former supporters. Please do well to subscribe to the channel, thank you. The video posted to a new account features Meghan in a sun-drenched kitchen, puttering among rustic jars and artisanal linens, evoking an aesthetic that feels equal parts Martha Stewart, Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, and a royal-worthy parody of itself. For a woman who has spent years decrying the invasive, oppressive nature of the media spotlight and the constraints of her former royal life, the pivot to hawking jams and tableware feels not just incongruous, but almost spectacularly ill-timed. The core of the awkwardness lies in the jarring disconnect between Meghan's past rhetoric and her present actions. This is, after all, the same woman who gave a landmark interview with Oprah Winfrey detailing the profound mental anguish and loss of freedom she experienced under the scrutiny of royal life in the British tabloids. She and Prince Harry built their post-royal brand on a foundation of trauma, liberation, and a stated desire for a more private, meaningful life focused on humanitarian work and media production through their Archewell Foundation. The launch of American Riviera Orchard, with its focus on the impossibly curated, lavish domesticity of the 1%, completely upends that narrative. It's a venture that seems to scream of privilege, not purpose. Critics were quick to pounce, labeling it Montetito millionaire cosplay, and questioning how selling $30 jars of lemon curd aligns with the couple's stated missions of compassion and community building. The timing is particularly baffling, coming on the heels of a year of significant professional setbacks, including the very public implosion of their $20 million Spotify deal and reports of a strained, scaled-back relationship with Netflix. Furthermore, the execution itself reeked of a strange, anachronistic ambition. The name American Riviera Orchard itself feels like a focus-grouped relic from 2014, an attempt to conjure an aspirational, old-money elegance that seems utterly out of step with the current cultural moment. In an era of economic anxiety where consumers are increasingly skeptical of influencer culture and vapid celebrity endorsements, the launch of an ultra-premium lifestyle brand by one of the world's most famous and divisive women feels like a miscalculation of epic proportions. The teaser video, with its soft filters and slow-motion shots of Meghan arranging flowers, was immediately and ruthlessly memed across social media, with users juxtaposing the serene imagery with audio clips of Meghan's past interviews discussing her immense struggles. The sheer artifice of it all, the performative domestic bliss, the obvious commercial intent masquerading as a personal passion project struck many as not just awkward, but deeply inauthentic. This perception of inauthenticity is the most damaging charge against the Sussexes, and this latest move pours gasoline on that fire. For years, their detractors have accused them of wanting to have it both ways, to profit from their fame and titles while decrying the system that bestowed them, to demand privacy while constantly courting the spotlight on their own terms. American Riviera Orchard is a case study in this contradiction. It is a commercial venture that inherently requires public attention, media coverage, and consumer engagement. The very things Meghan has claimed are so toxic. It invites the exact kind of scrutiny and criticism she says she wants to avoid. The awkwardness is not just in the launch itself, but in the palpable tension between the woman we saw in the Oprah interview and the woman now presenting herself as a domestic guru for the elite. It feels less like a natural evolution and more like a desperate, flailing attempt to find a revenue stream and a relevant public identity after other, more substantive plans have faltered. Is there a world in which this could have worked? Perhaps if it had been launched with humility, framed as a small personal side project rather than a grand, mysterious rebranding teased with trailers and sent to an exclusive list of influencers. But in the hands of Meghan and Harry, whose every move is amplified and polarized, nothing is small or simple. The launch was immediately repeatedly met with questions about the couple's use of their Sussex title for commercial gain, a sensitive issue that touches on royal protocols they claimed to want to escape. Ultimately, the profound awkwardness of American Riviera Orchard is that it exposes the central unresolved conflict of Meghan's public life. She seems trapped between a desire to be taken seriously as a humanitarian and a philanthropist, and an undeniable attraction to the glamour, influence, and financial rewards of celebrity. This latest move suggests that for now, the celebrity has won, and the result is a cringe-inducing spectacle that has left even sympathetic observers wondering what exactly the Duchess of Sussex stands for anymore.
In their seat.
Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behavior. Truth be told, what you just did.
Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, stands as one of the most polarizing figures in modern public life. A woman perpetually suspended between adulation and intense scrutiny. In recent months, a familiar chorus of criticism has swelled, centering on a single, damning accusation: inauthenticity. Leading this charge, with characteristic bombast, is broadcaster Piers, who has made a cottage industry of dissecting the Duchess's every move, most recently turning his focus to her podcast appearances, which he lambasts as overly rehearsed performances devoid of genuine spontaneity. This critique, while amplified by Morgan's megaphone, taps into a broader and more persistent narrative that has followed Meghan from her acting career into the royal fold and beyond. The core of Morgan's argument, and that of her detractors, is that Meghan's public communication is a meticulously crafted product. On her Archetypes podcast, her conversational tone, the empathetic pauses, and the seemingly seamless flow of dialogue are presented not as evidence of professional production, but as proof of a calculated artifice. Critics point to the polished cadence of her voice, the perfectly timed laughs of recognition, and the earnest, lesson-oriented summaries as hallmarks of a performance, comparing it unfavorably to the raw, unvarnished, and sometimes messy candidness favored by other public figures. For them, it feels less like an intimate chat and more like a corporate seminar on wellness and empowerment, a scripted journey designed to hit predetermined emotional and thematic beats. This perception is inextricably linked to her background. Meghan did not emerge from the traditionally stiff upper lip of British aristocracy or the opaque world of royal protocol. She came from Hollywood. An actor's training is to embody a character, to deliver lines with conviction, and to connect with an audience through a script. Her detractors argue she has never stopped acting, merely swapping the sets of suits for the global stage. With her life now the starring vehicle, every interview, every speech, and every podcast episode is thus framed as a scene, carefully blocked, lit, and rehearsed to elicit a specific response. The 2021 Oprah Winfrey interview, a landmark moment of seismic impact, is cited as the prime example, a masterclass in televised narrative where every revelation felt placed for maximum effect, a stark contrast to the often awkward spontaneity of other royal family members. However, this criticism often willfully ignores the context of her position. Stepping into the royal family is to step into a gilded cage of unimaginable pressure, where every word is analyzed and every misstep is a global headline. For a biracial American woman entering this centuries-old institution, the scrutiny was exponentially higher, laced with undercurrents of racism and misogyny. In such a crucible, is it any surprise that a person would become intensely media trained, that their public utterances would become measured and guarded? What is dismissed as rehearsed could equally be seen as a necessary defense mechanism, a survival tactic forged in the fire of relentless tabloid attention. The performance might not be one of inauthenticity, but one of self-preservation. Furthermore, the very expectation of authenticity for a woman in her position is a paradox. She is damned if she is too polished and damned if she is too casual. The same public that craves relatability swiftly punishes any deviation from an often unattainable ideal. Her advocacy for mental health and feminist issues, while resonating with millions, is for some proof of a bandwagon jumping insincerity, a convenient alignment with trendy causes rather than a deeply held conviction. This places her in an impossible bind, expected to be both a global icon and a girl next door, a duchess and a down-to-earth mom, all under a microscope that distorts every gesture. Ultimately, the debate over Meghan Markle's authenticity is less about her and more about the modern celebrity culture that consumes her. "We demand that our public figures be both perfect and perfectly real, a contradiction in terms." Piers Morgan's vitriolic commentary is a potent symptom of this culture, fueling a cycle of outrage and engagement. Whether one finds Meghan's podcast style empowering or contrived may come down to a matter of personal taste, but to dismiss it merely as a performance is to ignore the profound constraints of her reality. In a world where her every unscripted moment has been used as a weapon against her, perhaps a carefully considered performance is the only authentic choice she has left.
They are lying.
So do you think she's been treated unfairly?
I think she's perfectly entitled to have her say. Did I believe everything she told me? No. Do I think it's more likely than not that she did send 40-odd thousand emails and left endless voicemail messages? Yes, I do. So would that make her obsessive about him? Yes. If it turns out, Billy, that she does not have a criminal conviction, if it turns out that is a lie, then this is not a true story, and Netflix will be facing, I would imagine, a substantial lawsuit.
Fiona denies the...
Piers Morgan has launched a blistering broadside against the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, branding them a renegade royal family in the wake of their quasi-royal tour of Nigeria, a trip that has ignited fresh controversy and crystallized the deepening rift between the couple and the British establishment. The visit, undertaken at the invitation of Nigeria's military and framed by Harry and Meghan as a cultural and charitable mission, was swiftly dissected by Morgan and a chorus of critics as a brazen and cynical attempt to usurp the prestige and platform of the institution they publicly renounced, embodying the very paradox that continues to define and dog their post-monarchical lives. The three-day tour, dubbed a quasi-royal tour by the British press, featured all the hallmarks of an official state visit, albeit without the authority of the crown. The couple were greeted by vibrant cultural performances, met with high-ranking officials, including the country's chief of defense staff, visited schools and charities, and delivered speeches on causes close to their hearts, notably mental health and the Invictus Games. Meghan, in particular, spoke emotionally about discovering through a genealogy test that she is 43% Nigerian, a moment of personal connection that she clearly cherished, but which critics were quick to seize upon as a calculated public relations move. For supporters, it was a powerful example of their global soft power and commitment to their philanthropic work, unfettered by palace protocols. For detractors like Morgan, it was a carefully staged pantomime of duty without responsibility, a performance dripping with the very regal pretension they claim to reject. Morgan's core indictment, delivered with his trademark incendiary rhetoric on television and in his column, is one of staggering hypocrisy. He lambasts the Sussexes for trashing the royal family at every opportunity, while simultaneously parading themselves around like king and queen of Nigeria, leveraging the royal status they ostensibly fled for financial gain and global influence. In his view, the Nigeria trip was not a humanitarian endeavor, but a brand-building exercise for the burgeoning Sussex global empire, a direct and deliberate challenge to the actual royal family's overseas diplomatic role. He points to the military-style welcome, the motorcades, and the adoring crowds marshaled for their events as evidence that Harry and Meghan are not seeking a private life, but are actively constructing a rival commercialized monarchy, one where duty is swapped for lucrative Netflix deals and patronages are replaced with branded initiatives. This criticism is amplified by the timing and nature of their ongoing conflicts with the royal family. The trip occurred against a backdrop of continued tension, including King Charles's decision to reportedly not meet with Harry during his recent UK visit due to a busy schedule, and the ongoing question of their royal titles. For many, the spectacle of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex undertaking a tour that so closely mirrored an official royal visit while remaining at odds with the institution that confers their titles was a step too far. It was seen as an act of diplomatic ambush, potentially complicating the UK's foreign relations and undermining the carefully neutral political stance of the official monarchy. The image of Harry inspecting Nigerian troops alongside the country's military leadership was a particular flashpoint, a visual that, for critics, blurred the lines between a private citizen and a representative of the British state in a deeply inappropriate and confusing manner. The Sussexes' defenders, however, counter that this criticism is not only unfair, but rooted in an outdated and inflexible view of their roles. They argue that the couple have every right to engage in international advocacy, and that the warm reception in Nigeria is a testament to their genuine connection to the causes they champion, particularly the Invictus Games, which provided the official pretext for the visit. They see the accusations of playing royal as a cynical trap set by a hostile press. The couple are attacked for not being working royals, yet when they work on their own terms for global charities, they are attacked for mimicking the very institution institution they left. The focus on Meghan's Nigerian heritage, they argue, should be celebrated as a positive moment of representation and cultural exchange, not picked apart as a disingenuous publicity stunt. Ultimately, the Nigeria trip and Piers Morgan's furious reaction to it serve as a potent microcosm of the unresolvable war that surrounds Harry and Meghan. It highlights the fundamental, perhaps unbridgeable gap in perception between those who see them as opportunistic hypocrites capitalizing on their birthright while disavowing its constraints, and those who see them as modernizers breaking free from a stifling institution to forge a new, more impactful model of humanitarian work. The renegade royal label, intended as a savage insult, may indeed be the most accurate description of their current existence. Sovereigns of their own global brand, leading a court of loyal followers and furious critics, forever operating in the shadow of the crown they left behind, simultaneously rejecting its rules while invoking its power. As long as they continue to walk this tightrope, the fury from commentators like Morgan is guaranteed to be a permanent feature of their tumultuous reign.
I'm sickened by what I've just had to watch. This is a 2-hour trash-a-thon of our royal family, of the monarchy, and it's all being done as Prince Philip lies in hospital.
Good Morning Britain host Piers Morgan was...
The segment, which rapidly bled from the confines of the broadcast into a torrent of social media clips and furious commentary, saw the broadcaster unleash a torrent of criticism so intense and personal that it laid bare the undimmed fervor of his animosity and the deep cultural schisms the Sussexes continue to represent. Morgan, leveraging the unscripted and combustible nature of live TV, did not merely critique Meghan's actions. He launched a full-scale assault on her fundamental character, dissecting what he perceives as a calculated and duplicitous persona that he believes has duped the world. The catalyst for this latest eruption is often less important than the eruption itself, but in this instance, it was likely a confluence of recent events. The continued fallout from the Nigeria quasi-royal tour, the ongoing success of Meghan's new lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, or perhaps just a slow news day that provided the requisite oxygen for his fury. Seizing his platform, Morgan dismantled Meghan's public endeavors piece by piece, framing them not as the actions of a philanthropist or entrepreneur, but as the meticulously staged scenes of a never-ending performance. He returned to his most familiar refrain, the accusation of authenticity, or rather the glaring lack thereof. Her podcast cadence, her public speeches, even her social media announcements were presented as evidence of a woman forever playing a part, a Hollywood actor who never left the set. Only now the backdrop is global diplomacy, and the script is one of victimhood and empowerment designed for maximum commercial and sympathetic return. What distinguishes a Morgan broadside from mere criticism, however, is its visceral and ad hominem nature. He doesn't just disagree with her methods, he questions her integrity, her motives, and her truthfulness with a conviction that borders on the obsessive. He revisited his long-standing disbelief of her claims regarding her mental health struggles and the palace's alleged lack of support, a position that famously led to his dramatic exit from Good Morning Britain. On live television, unconstrained by co-hosts ready to challenge him, he doubled down, his rhetoric escalating into sweeping declarations about her toxic influence on Prince Harry and the irreparable damage he believes she has wrought upon the British royal family. The language was not that of a dispassionate commentator, but of a prosecutor delivering a closing argument, painting a picture of a manipulative and ambitious woman who engineered a royal exit and is now exploiting her title for vast personal gain while playing the press with a victim narrative. The reaction was as instantaneous as it was predictable. Morgan's supporters, a significant and vocal cohort, applauded his brutal honesty and his willingness to say what they believe a spineless mainstream media fears to utter. They see him as a lone truth teller in a world blinded by Meghan's celebrity and progressive branding. Conversely, his detractors condemned the segment as a misogynistic rant, a grotesque example of the very kind of toxic media bullying that Meghan has long cited as a primary reason for leaving the UK. Mental health advocates expressed alarm at his dismissive tone towards her past struggles, arguing that such rhetoric from a powerful figure only serves to stigmatize those experiencing similar crises. The interview, in true modern fashion, ceased to be a single event and instantly fractured into two entirely separate realities, each side viewing the same footage and drawing diametrically opposed conclusions about both the attacker and his target. Ultimately, the content of Morgan's latest latest diatribe is less revealing than its enduring potency. It proves that the Sussex saga, far from fading into irrelevance, remains a powerful currency in the economy of outrage. For Morgan, Meghan is the gift that keeps on giving, a perpetual motion machine for content and controversy. His live TV performances are not designed to persuade the unconvinced, but to energize his base and dominate the news cycle, a goal he consistently achieves. The interview underscored a brutal truth of the digital age. There is no line between news and entertainment, between commentary and vitriol when a name like Meghan's is involved. It is a theater of conflict where ratings and clicks are the ultimate prize, and the human subject of the fury is almost incidental, reduced to a caricature to be either eviscerated or defended. As long as this dynamic persists, Piers Morgan's voice will remain a loud, angry, and profitable fixture in the relentless and often ugly spectacle that continues to surround the Duchess of Sussex. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do not forget to leave your thought in the comment section. Thanks for watching.